There's a time when the world is at its quietest, when shadows stretch long and sleep is just out of reach. It's the hour of restless souls, of whispered stories, of thoughts too much for the daylight. Welcome to Hour of the Wolf, where we dive into the stories that keep you awake. When hearts beat and the wolves prowl. The family, the community, the truths about being in a wolf pack. Stay with us if you dare. They call it the Hour of the Wolf.
Welcome back, beautiful people.
Hello, hello, hello.
We are the Hour of the Wolf podcast. I am your co-host, Louis P. Schreier, and to the other side of me,
I am Darren. DQ. How's it going, everybody? Welcome.
Yeah, a little bit of time off last show.
Yes, thank you very much to Christian. Thank you very much to Christian for filling in and doing a fantastic job.
Christian's a legend, man. He is legit one of the funnest people just to hang out. Like even like the backstage, just shooting his shit. He's such a nice guy.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
And thank you again to Lit for coming on and having a good time with us. The last show.
Yep. I just got Anthony's new scent in the mail yesterday. From the
how is it? I have not got around to getting it, and
I like it. And I hate patchouli. But he assured me that he doesn't like patchouli either, so it was going to be very low on it. And it is. You can smell it when you open it, but once you put it on, the vanilla and sandalwood is pretty much all I smell, and I love it. I think it's really great. I like sandalwood a lot too. So,
yeah, I need to get. That's one I really want to get. But mainly because I'm such a big freaking fan of the movie itself.
Yes, I had to watch it again yesterday morning just because I knew it was coming. It was getting delivered yesterday, so I knew it was getting delivered, so I had to watch it again yesterday. Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Damn it, Don. Yeah, that's right up there. I'm actually trying to. I had a thing in my head. I wanted to show a short and a Facebook short to stay on this movie path, because obviously we're talking movies here. One of my favorite movies, Tombstone.
Yes.
And Val Kilmer passing away, so I was going to share my screen, and we're all going to give a chat R.I.P. Val Kilmer for me, please.
This is dramatic.
You see?
Am I supposed to see something?
You're not seeing it?
I don't see shit.
No.
You want me to play? You want me to play the part? Should I act it out?
No.
You're a wild card, Maverick. Oh, wrong movie.
No, stop. Wrong movie. We're talking about his best movie. All right.
The Doors?
There we go. Now we're seeing it. All right. R.I.P. Val Kilmer, everybody. We're going to play
Your soul. And I want them both right now. I don't want any more trouble. Well, you got trouble! And it starts with you. I'm not going to fight you, Ringo. There's no money in it. Sober up. Come on, boys. Wretched slugs. Don't any of you have the guts to fight for blood? I'm your huckleberry. That's just my game. All right, Lunger. You go to hell. I'll put you out of your misery.
Say wham.
Johnny, don't! No, Johnny, whoa. Get off! I want your blood.
I love it. It's one of the best movies
And I
ever.
want your...
One of the best movies ever, right there, everybody. So my favorite part of that movie, and like one of the best things that he did as an actor is, remember the piano scene? He's sitting there playing the piano. He's all fucked up.
Yep.
And they go. Then right after that, they all go outside and they have that big scuffle. And then he plays the Sandman, the original Spider-Man series. I can't remember his name as an actor, but he turns around. And he's like, "You're too drunk to fight. You're probably seeing double." And he goes, "That's good. I have two guns, one for the both of you." And when he spins his guns, one goes forward, one goes backwards. And then the way he looks at them, because it's all scripted, like it was all just riffing, like he just did it just not at the take. One goes forwards, one goes backwards, and just caught it. And he's like, "I got one for the both of you." I'm just like, man, what an eerie fucking moment. I love that movie, man. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
So we are waiting a few minutes on Carl here, everybody. He was coming out of a seminar on, what was it again, Louis?
H.P. Lovecraft, the author.
H.P. Lovecraft seminar he was coming out of currently. So he's wrapping that thing up, and he'll be joining us here in a few minutes. So,
but yeah, I all week Spirit World, Eldorado, man. That's all I've listened to all week. It's just I've been addicted to that album. It's just so damn good.
I saw April Fool's Day. Nevermore announced their new singer. Fergie.
It was actually okay. It was actually April Fool's.
It was April Fool's. Have you ever heard her sing rock though? She actually does a pretty decent job.
I guess here did a good job. She has that. Yeah, she has a unique voice. I bet she would do a good job.
She did something with Slash. I don't know, maybe 12 years ago or something. She did something with Slash on stage, and I remember seeing that. It was pretty cool. So she's got a good rock voice.
I've seen a thing online that. So before they announced, obviously, the final Black Sabbath show, they were going to do like what they did with Kiss for the avatars, like the fake characters, like a movie, and then tour a cartoon version of Sabbath on tour for his final tour. And I was just kind of like, God, thank God somebody talked her out of that, because I think one final show is the way Ozzy deserves to go out.
So I am looking through the comments here. If nobody has seen this yet, Shadow Seekers Paranormal is offering Paranormal Rockdown tickets with today 50%. There you go. You're getting it up there. 50% of the sales are going to the Autism Alliance of Michigan. So if you're thinking on the fence about coming to the event in July 18th, 19th, 20th, 19th, 20th, that's a great time to pick up your tickets and have some of the money go to a good cause as well. So jump on that. I also wanted to give a shout out to the boys over at the Bearded Respect, Scott, Jason, and the gentlemen. They've given us a shout out here a couple of times in a row now, and I'd like to pay that backwards as well. If you guys get a chance, Thursday nights, the Bearded Respect, jump on and give them a listen. Scott is a member of the Wisconsin chapter of the of the Renegades as well. So
one of the tried and true. He's been through thick and thin with us. So.
He has. He's been there almost just about as long as I have. So
Scott's a real one, man. He's a great guy.
And they put on a really good show. So tune into that. What else you got going on?
Man, I ain't got, honestly, between work and all my gamers out there, Verdansk is back for Call of Duty, so I've been playing that.
I don't know if you saw in the chapter bracket, but I won.
I did see that.
Yes. It was coming down. If Duke had won last night, you probably would have beaten me.
Did I end up getting second, or I didn't even looked at it for a minute?
Oh, I think you dropped all the way to fourth.
My I did the Over the Line sports radio show out of Madison. They're on 580 here in town. It's a Ebo Thorson show out of there. He's right before Bill Michaels on 580 for us.
Okay.
But they're out of Madison. I did theirs, and for a little bit I was like in the top 50 for like the first 2 weeks. It was not the bracket I submitted for ours, but it was just another. You could submit 3 for that one, so I submitted 3, and it was honestly the one that I thought would do the worst. That one because I had you riding all the way through to that one.
Big news coming out of the club this weekend. We eclipsed 500 members.
500.
500. They came in fast and furious. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think everybody had Sunday was our day of rest. I don't know if we brought anybody, maybe 1 or 2 new guys in today, but I think Wednesday night we were at about 475, so we got 25, 30 guys in 3 days. Beans and our buddy Mr. Smith, Chris, out in California.
Lord Smith, first of his name.
Smith, they running a little friendly competition to see who can get most guys in the month of, what are we in? April. And I am actually making a Wisconsin chapter T-shirt for the winner. So, a little friendly competition never hurts. Stir the soup just a little bit.
And we got how many people we got watching? We got 14 people watching. We get 11 likes. So that means 3 of you guys need to figure it out.
What do we got here?
Because that is the new thing. That's my challenge for everybody. Is 20 likes on the stream equals a song at the end of the show. So please like and subscribe, everybody.
We're having a competition. That sounds fun. I see it's a who's who of some of my favorite people in the Renegades in the chat room right now, too. Look at this. It's beautiful. I see a couple of brand new faces in there, guys that have come in over the weekend, too. Alabama coming in strong today. Look at that. Alabama went, I don't know how many they brought in over the weekend. That chapter grew. I was talking to their president last night on the video chat. They jumped. They just eclipsed, I think, 10 or 11 people last night, he said.
Good for them.
So
growing.
He was really excited last night, too, and some really good guys, too. They're active in the prospect chat. They're excited. So Christian's in there. The club VP himself, Sean, making an appearance.
Mr. Sanders is in here. Toxic Spec, Alabama man. We already said that. Of course, our buddy old Chris, Shadow Seekers, is in here.
Yeah. We got Minnesota representing. We got the redhead from Minnesota. Lots of good people.
Dylan.
Yeah, there's Alabama's president, Mike, father of asshole minions. That's one of my favorite fucking Discord names. Father of asshole minions and Barra Fawcett from Nevada. Those two of my favorite Discord names. Every time I see them, it just makes me chuckle.
You got Joel Jeff in here. So I was perusing the internet the other day. I actually messaged you about this too, but we're going to get into it because I like sports. The vice president of the Bengals came out and said that if they don't get a contract renewed by June 30th, they will be looking to move the franchise. And I am a nonsense. I'm a big fan of just useless knowledge that gets poured into my brain. So, me remembering my favorite movies all the time, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Luke Perry's his actor played an uncle of a rich family, basically, and his niece was caught as a hostage for the TV show they're shooting, and it just dawned on me that they could, his brigade in the British military was called a Bengal Lancer for the Indian conflict. And I was like, is this the time where we finally get a freaking team in London, and they don't even need to change the name for historical value at all. They can keep it the London Bengals. You know, just and it's on top of it though. Like, to be real, if there's one team that you can market through the roof for a new franchise, it would be Cincinnati.
Quarterback, receivers,
you
strong offense.
Yeah, you have Joe Burrow as a quarterback. You can market him through the roof. You have, without a doubt, Jamar Chase, who's the best wide receiver in football. You have T. Higgins, who's a stud. And then you got, I can't remember, any Bengals fans or any fans of that division. Who's the tight end of the Bengals?
Well, you know what's coming. Expansion overseas is going to come.
Yeah.
The NFL is
people
all about dollars.
People get so mad about that, though. It just cracks me up. American football stays in America. I was like, yeah, well, not always. The money's just as green over there, so.
Yep, probably greener. But we won't get into that.
Toxic as a tight end. So they're looking for a new contract, Josh. So if they don't get a new contract by June 30, obviously they always play hardball. So if they don't get their contract, they'll buy a plot of land or something like that in London, just to show that they would be interested in moving, and they'll hold out till they get a better offer from Cincinnati to stay, probably. And that's kind of like what they did with the A's. The A's bought the owner of the then Oakland A's. They bought 6 acres, whatever the hell it was, in Las Vegas, and they threatened to leave. And then Oakland just didn't follow suit, and that's why we're getting the Las Vegas A's now.
Canada is getting Aaron Rodgers. Good luck with that.
I can see that too with I can see that too with a lot of these franchises that because the Bills did that a couple years ago, if you remember.
Yep.
The Bills bought a bunch of acreage in San Antonio, Texas. And obviously then they got as soon as they did that, they got their deal done. The Bears did it too. The Bears bought a bunch of acreage outside of Chicago to build a new stadium, and then the city of Chicago kind of played ball with them.
So we got Carl coming in here shortly. Let's open it up to the guys in the chat room. Let's start talking a little paranormal. Let's see. I'm not sure how long we're going to have Carl on tonight, with it running late. Things running late already, but
yeah.
Handful of things we can talk to him about. He's a fascinating guy. We could sit here and have him on for 2 hours and we still wouldn't hear all the stories he could tell.
No, he's one of one. Carl Johnson is probably one of my favorite humans on the planet. So,
anybody in the chat got anything, any experience with the paranormal themselves in any small way, shape, or form? I had and I've told you this story already when I went on that ghost hunt. Was that 2 years ago now? We had the experience with the person I went with, and ended up I was standing right next to one of the guides. She was standing directly in front of me, and they were doing, I can't remember what they call it, when they have somebody sitting in another room with the headphones on and they're calling out words.
that's just
Yes, that was it. And they were sitting in the other room in the basement of this farmhouse, and they were calling out these words. And the guy next to me was the our hunt, the investigator that we were with. And he's watching me, and he's watching the girl standing in front of me. And all of a sudden, the person in the back makes some comment about here I come, or something, or here they come, or here I come, or something. And no sooner he says that, or the girl says that with the headphones on, the investigator standing right next to me reaches out because he saw the girl standing in front of me just out cold. She just went out cold and has no idea what happened. She went straight down, and he was watching it the whole time. Eyes rolled back in the back of her head. She lost all function and just dropped to the ground. No recollection of it whatsoever.
That's wild.
Brought her upstairs, and they sat her down at the kitchen. They were giving her a drink and sitting and talking to her. Well, the group was split into two investigations, into two groups. We were in the main farmhouse. The other group was in I guess it was the old stables or something like that. So that group came back about a half hour later or so. And the investigator, the first thing he says when he walks into the building, he says, "What happened over here?" They knew something had happened over here because were doing the same method over there, and they heard through their person the spirit leave that building and was on its way to the farmhouse where we were. And no, it was happening at the exact same time. It was I can't explain it. And it was really bizarre. I know I'm kind of making it short and a little awkward right there, but being there, it was really, really
we got a cool one right here. I worked at Sloss Furnaces as a haunted house actor for Sloss Fright Furnace. Caught an EVP saying, "Wither, get out," or "get help," among many other unexplainable things that weren't caught on camera. So Sloss Furnace is one of the first ever Ghost Adventure episodes I've ever watched.
Where's that?
It's in Alabama. I believe it's in, I want to say Birmingham. I think that's wrong. I think it's Montgomery. Anyways, this is one of those cities down there, and the Ghost Adventures caught a thermal Birmingham, Alabama. So I'm not full of shit. But yes, they caught a really cool thermal imaging of a spirit running right to left, going across. It's pretty sweet. Old Rusty. See, a little boy at a cemetery once ran through a couple thorn bushes to get back to the truck. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a ton of paranormal experiences, but the one that sticks out to me is when I had Carl on Pure Steel. And
I've heard the story. Yep.
Yeah, me and Austin were sitting here, and he was like, he sent me a bunch of pictures to show. I didn't know how to show back then. Plus, I had one screen, and it's so hard to share a screen on one screen. It's like, now I just go up to my tab, I just drag it over to the other screen, I share that screen. Very simple now. But so I was just going back to the emails to try to do that. I was having a hard time, but when I got to my emails, I literally looked at them that day, the ones that he sent me. And when I went back into my email, they were all gone. Emails were not there, like they were never sent. So Carl goes back in, he sends me the pictures of these, evil entities' faces. And when I open up the first one, it's a green face, and it does not look like of this earth. It's very eerie. And as soon as I open that, I have a trash can next to my setup here, and there was 2 beer cans in there. And me and Austin both had 1 beer each, and it literally sounded like the can got picked up and then dropped right next to it. And I had this face on my screen as this is all happening. And I closed it. I got super cold. I just felt the chills in my body. I was scared chills. I didn't know. Obviously in my head, I'm looking at, this on my screen. Nobody knows how these things travel. What if? And Austin's freaking out. He even scooted over to the side a little bit. Just in case he had to run, he could just go. Yeah, that was super, super spooky, and that happened. And I had a hard time sleeping that night, too, because I just felt like I honestly was being watched. And I had Carl's number, so I called him that next day, and I was like, I had this happen last night. He goes, all right, well, for safety's sake, first things first, just delete the picture. Let's get it out of there. And he's just like, if things continue to happen, just say, you're not invited here, please leave. So I came home that day after work. I just yelled it out loud. I'm like, "You're not invited here. Please leave."
There's another one from Sean here in the chat. Myself and a coworker at my last job in the foundry were cleaning a melting pot. Someone came up behind us and asked if we were good, and we both looked back and nobody was there. I had one like that at work too, at the old place I used to work at before this. It was the exact same thing. I went in early in the morning, and I used to bring the files. My office was in the back of the shop, and I'd bring the files when they were done and put them in these little glass holder things in front of our lunchroom. And I went in really early to finish up some stuff. There was nobody else in the shop. I opened up the shop, still locked. Came up, put some files in there, and I, clear as day, saw my boss walk behind me in the reflection in the glass. I said, "Hey, Doug, what's up?" Nothing. Absolutely not there. Clear as day, I know I saw him. The company was going out of business at the time. That's why I'm no longer there. And one of the main reasons they were going out of business is Doug, that owner that I did see there, was suffering from lung cancer at the time that nobody knew about. He passed away shortly after that incident, shortly after we closed, unfortunately. But he was one of the best owners. But that one still gives me goosebumps. I will never forget that.
Another one here. The next experience, we were standing in the blowing engine room facing the flywheel room, and a water bottle in my pocket got pressed against my leg with force, like someone grabbed me, but my friends
Or 3 feet away on either side of me. It's in the next message.
Oh, 3 feet away from me on the other side. Yeah, that's wild. Are they still? What do they use sloths for anymore? Anyways, I believe I was watching an episode of it was Ozzy Osbourne and Jack Osbourne. They were did their TV show and they're touring, and I'm pretty sure that they were using that place for like more like a community center type thing now, like a cultural center.
You heard back from Carl?
I have not.
Come on, Carl.
I didn't.
Come on.
I talked to him on the phone. He's definitely coming on. But,
okay.
Yeah. You get into the new Ghost yet? You a big fan of that yet?
The new album?
No, the new song they put out, Satanized.
Yes, the new song. It's still growing on me, I guess. But I've never really been huge Ghost fan, but this one's growing on me. I like what they're doing.
Yeah, I like the lore. They do like a comic book too now.
Have you ever seen the box set that they sell with the little maze that's in it?
No.
One of those old school mazes that's kind of, I'm sure there's a better term for it, that's kind of on a pivoting board like this, and you put the ball in it, it kind of rolls, and you tilt it till it goes around the maze till it falls in what you want. There's a Ghost box set. Well, the record store I go to all the time just got a copy of it. I think he posted it Wednesday or Thursday last week.
Nice.
Way out of my price range, but I don't know what's all in it. I just saw the cool little box that it came in, but I mean it's 2 inches thick, so I think there's a hand, if not their entire discography, maybe.
Yeah. We made the big screen. Everybody, look at this. Watching on my TV. Thank you, Ken.
Oh, Mom always told me I'd be famous.
Yeah, Ken, you gotta get the chat riled up here. Let's get more likes on this thing.
We do have we got 2 weeks from tonight. We have Michael Gagliano, another paranormal investigator, host of Para with a Normal. He'll be joining us in 2 weeks. Absolutely hilarious human being. It'll be nonstop fun when he's on. The week after,
one of a kind.
He is. The week after that, we have our Midwest special, right? With
Yes,
Don, Tony from Illinois, and Jekyll from Indiana are joining us. Then now we are planning, and this will get announced probably tomorrow, we are going to do a Mother's Day special on May 4th, the week before Mother's Day. We're going to post something in the Renegade chat for everybody to share pictures of their moms or the moms in their lives, including spouses, daughters with grandkids, that type of thing. So any of the moms in your life, we're going to be posting something about that in the next day or two in the chat for you guys to share some pictures. And we're going to have a special about moms on May 4th. And 2 weeks after that, we have our cooking spectacular. We're going to kick off the summer with outdoor cooking. So we've got from the club, we've got Neil Black Talon from Arkansas and a Wisconsin veteran-owned business, Burn Pit Barbecue, is going to be joining us on May 18th for a outdoor cooking special show. So hopefully everybody shows up on time. And
we could talk to him about the Big Unit Foundation. Maybe that's an in for us. He sits on the board. He sits on the board for Bill Michaels' foundation, Burn Pit Barbecue.
Oh, really?
Oh. Nice.
I have a couple of their seasonings in my cupboard. I like their stuff. Good stuff.
My brother Eric absolutely loves their stuff. He orders it all the time. I like seasonings, but I have too many.
Yeah, I got too many too. But so there's a lot of good episodes coming up, guys. A lot of good episodes.
Yeah. And Michael next week is gonna be a fun one. He's awesome.
Ooh, look at that. Shadow Seekers. Let's get Burn Pit to come sell food at Rockdown.
That'd be good. Yeah.
That's not a bad idea, is it? That might be something to add to our discussion and talk to him about. I know he's I first met him. He was one of the judges. Greg was one of the judges on the Lit Beard competition at Flannelpalooza last year on the panel with me. So all right. Look at us keep rolling. No dead air. It's like a machine. How about that intro song again? Still pretty damn good, isn't it?
Yeah, thumbs up for an intro song. Thumbs up on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Get those likes coming in.
Apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for running a little out of whack tonight because our guest, Carl, is a great guy. He is a busy guy.
He apologized. He's a staple of his local community up there. He's a part of the Historical Society up there. He's a part of the HP Lovecraft Society up there. He obviously the busy guy. He's an author. Super awesome guy.
This is Carl's book, which I am actually currently reading right now, Shadow Realm Demonology Handbook. An extremely interesting book. The guy has led an extremely interesting life and career for the past, I believe it was 40 years, is the last 40 years he's been investigating. He spent some time in the Conjuring House before Leslie and Ed Warren took over and made it Ed Lorraine. Or Ed and Lorraine made it a horse and pony show. He spent some time in that house.
He was on season 1 of Ghost Hunters. Him and his brother Keith. And Keith, those two are awesome, man. What a handful the parents must have had. You know what I mean? There's a rumor out there that they were going to put Keith and Carl in the movie The Conjuring, but they could not get the Pitt twins. They couldn't get the Pitt twins to sign on.
The Pitt twins.
He couldn't get Brad Pitt and his brother to come in and play the roles to represent the brothers. So
Christian brought up something earlier. Let's do that, Louis. Let's do the patch.
Want to do the
Since
patch?
we got enough patch, let's do the patch. Christian,
I have to go into. Let me create something real quick.
We can do it a different way if you want. If you want to do it a different way.
I think let me see how hard this is going to be quick.
Okay.
It shouldn't be too hard.
Christian, our U.S. national president, when he purchased his U.S. patch He purchased a second one to pay it forward. I have that, and I also have another special patch that I will be including with that for a winner that will ship out tonight. And let's wait for Louis to get the contest set up, and then we'll give away a US and a I Got Your Six patch. Christian left to spend time with his woman. Oh, dang it.
Damn it, Christian. Oh.
Dang it, Christian. I'm still giving away your shit. Still giving away your shit. He knows. He brought it up earlier and mentioned it. He reminded me. Yes, no, maybe so. Is it working?
I just gotta find that link here really quick. Should giveaway tool.
I'll throw in a sampler pack of lit beard products too.
Ooh.
Lemon hops, 3-way, guilty pleasure, and bounty hunter. That. And I didn't even use them, so they're fresh. If the winner would like, I will use half of each of them first. So then you know you're using something that I used. But that's not necessary.
All right, everybody. Hashtag USA patch.
I've just been EVP'd.
Hashtag USA patch to win the giveaway. You got 5 entries so far.
10 seconds. You'll see a chain. After I step on that chain, you'll hear either get help or get out. What am I missing with that one?
You're reading. His video.
Oh, did he send you a video or something?
I don't think so. He might have. Negative. Did he send it to? I got nothing on Discord.
Let's see if it's. Oh, what's that? Nope.
Did you send it to the Hour of the Wolf page? Question mark.
Not sure. But he's pointing to a specific time. Let's see a chain. After I step on that chain, you'll hear either get help or get out. Who is that? I'm not sure who that is off the top of my head.
I'm happy he's here.
I thought, he's obviously Alabama. Not sure who that is.
Ken, technically it's an outro song now, but we'll take it. Thank you, brother. Keep on hyping him up.
Always, Ken's a hype man.
Chance from Alabama.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I know who it is.
Chance, if you wanted to send that to my Discord, I could probably pull that, or you can send it to my Facebook too. You can send it to the Hour of the Wolf Facebook, and I could probably pull it up. I hate that word. But we are at 10 still. Do one of you guys want to hop into the Discord and get the troops riled up or giveaway over here, and then get the slackers over here.
Slackers. Come on, hype man. Hype man.
And I'm going to try to.
Yeah, see if you can get a hold of Carl. We're getting at 7:45.
Yeah, I messaged him like 5 minutes ago, and I haven't got nothing back yet.
Sorry, everybody. This was going to be really fun.
It still is going to be fun, but it's just going to be a delayed fun, if that makes sense.
We are lucky that I'm easy on the eyes.
Yeah, I'm lucky you're easy on the eyes. Because if it was just me, I'd just be a stumbling prick right now. I like this idea. I'm thinking there's going to be a Renegade Paranormal patch in the next couple of years.
That's a good idea.
To be fair, we could get Chris to join. He could be the lead. He could be the Renegade Beer Club lead investigator.
He does have facial hair. That is correct, Chris. Are you still in here, Chris?
Chris,
he is still in here.
You could join the club, Chris. You could be the lead investigator for the Renegade Beer Club. You could be the lead. Look at this guy. I'm game.
Chris? What is your home state? What is Chris's home state? I forgot. He's not Wisconsin, is he?
He's Illinois, I believe.
That's what I thought. Well, we can't all be good. Oh, that was rude. I'm sorry, Fibs.
Illinois is not bad, man. Especially his side of the state. He's over by like Galena area, I believe.
Yeah,
Galena's beautiful. Galena's beautiful, man. It's kind of a fun little town. Blom Brothers bourbon over there.
Literally just found out today. And I'm so upset I didn't hear about this. Michael Monroe, the old singer for Hanoi Rocks, is doing a small U.S. tour right now. He's only got like 9 dates. He's actually playing outside of Schaumburg, Illinois tonight.
Ooh.
I had no idea until today.
So what I wanted to do, speaking of Illinois, or I guess we're just going to take turns saying great things with Illinois. But remember the past Friendsgiving we had this past year?
Uh-huh.
And Exodus was playing in Joliet that night?
Yep.
What stopped us?
Yeah, we were practically there.
I know. We were right there. That's the closest we could be without being there.
Right. Yeah, Travis is basically Illinois.
Yeah. Well, he's honorary Illinois, honestly.
Illinois, yes, all of them.
We should have went, man. I don't know. We should have just said fuck it and left and went to that. I believe it was at the Forge. Yes, Chris. Exodus was at the Forge. But you know what, Chris? We're such good friends with you. Why don't you invite us to go to the prison down there with you? Joliet Prison? That's where they had John Wayne Gacy held.
Okay. Somebody else mentioned that he has this video on his channel. Which channel? Does Chance have his own channel somewhere?
Too expensive, he says. Darren has deep pockets. Nothing's too expensive.
The link was posted here a little before the time post. Hold on. Going back. Do. Why don't I see it? Oh, man, I missed a lot. You guys were fast and furious hitting those comments.
You shit me, Chris? Chris, the Facebook page is just Hour of the Wolf.
Chances looking for the Facebook.
You send it to there and I'll be able to get it.
That's Chance, not Chris.
Yeah, did I say Chris? Did I say
you said Chris, but Chris
I meant to say Chance. But I did mention the Joliet Prison. $2,000 for 5 hours and $1,000 for an additional hour to investigate there.
Oof. Okay.
We got 11 entries, guys. 11 entries on the patch. We can do better. We got 17 people watching. Let's put in for this patch, everybody. Come on.
I think my I still have it open, so technically I'm still watching the show. I don't need to win the patch. I logged out. Hey, Ben came in. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Ben. Yeah, we still got 11. Wait for this video. What the hell is Meta Business Suite?
Meta Business Suite is the messaging service when you go a different direction coming out of the Hour of the Wolf page. Happens for our chapter page too.
Is that's the first time we're seeing this.
There's a way. Were you in the Facebook page and trying to get to the Messenger?
Yeah.
That's when it does it. Open Messenger by itself without the Facebook page. For some reason, Facebook on that thing takes you to the Meta Business page, and that's above my pay grade.
Yeah. I've just never seen that before. It's sounds like Discord. Jeez whiz.
Nothing from Carl yet, huh?
Nothing yet from Carl. But I think we're fine. Just engage the chat for a bit. The boys.
Yeah. Is what it is. It happens.
We got 13, everybody. Yeah, man, that's you got anything big and exciting coming up here? Other than obviously the show, but anything big personally?
Big and exciting. Not really. Oh, I got AC/DC on Thursday night in Minneapolis.
Ooh, you stayed up there with the kid?
Yep. AC/DC and the Pretty Reckless. Thursday night or Friday night? Friday.
Yeah, it was just Angus's birthday the other day.
Was it? Oh yeah, it was. I did see that. Yeah, Thursday night going to see AC/DC, which was, I don't know how I've been going to concerts for 40 years and AC/DC has eluded me all that time. So that's a bucket list band. I know they're not the same as they used to be, but I don't care. It's AC/DC.
I feel like as long as Brian's there, man, Brian and Angus, you got most of it. That's why I felt like because like you shit on me, and I went to go see Pantera. Like, oh, I'm going to see Pantera, and you're like, it's not fucking Pantera. But like that is Pantera for me. You know, it's just, I feel like it's unfair. That's the closest you can get to Pantera.
I went to the same show though, so I might have shit on you, but it was still a good show.
Yeah, no, it's you still got Zach Wilde, you got Phil, and I mean Rex still looks like he smokes 10 packs a day. You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
Sounds like he smokes 10 packs a day still.
So yeah, I got that on Thursday night. I'm excited for that. We got the draft coming up here in Green Bay, so the city is getting insane. There's so much crap going on right here. The week of the draft, I have Bullet for My Valentine and Trivium at the Epic, so that'll be fun.
Ooh, that'd be fun as hell.
Yep, that'll be a good show.
What day is that on?
I think they are the Tuesday night.
Ugh, Tuesday?
I think. Let's see.
I just feel like we never get a lot of concerts during the weekend in Wisconsin anymore.
No. That is Tuesday. Yes, I was correct. Tuesday, April 22nd. Trivium and Bullet for My Valentine. Concert season is upon us. Outdoor concert season coming. Are you coming up for what were we talking about? You possibly coming to Green Bay for? That Summer Aloud show. Whoever else was on that.
Oh, and I just got a message from Carl trying to read.
Beartooth, I Prevail, Parkway Drive, and Killswitch and Glade.
That's one. I think that was the one.
Yes. That's a weekend. That's a Saturday. What's he say? Saw OG Pantera with Black Sabbath and Incubus.
Hopefully, he's gonna try to go on his phone, and if it doesn't work, we're gonna try for another night.
Okay. Notorious is winning my shirt. Perfect. Hey, Panda's in the house. Didn't you see you pop in, brother? Hello, hello.
Dude, that would be a dream show, man. Fucking Pantera, Sabbath.
Incubus. I saw that.
We need 2 more likes. Come on, guys. 2 likes on the stream. That way Ken gets a song at the end. 2 likes at the end. Come on now. Give Ken 1 more like. And while you're at it, we're still doing the giveaway for the patch, the hashtag USA patch.
What did they used to chant at the end of the telethon? Light those lights. Light those lights.
Tear down that wall.
Was that just a local telethon thing? Maybe that was just local. I just looked like a fool? Because now I can picture Bill Jarts walking around there yelling that, light those lights, light those lights.
Light those lights.
8.
April 7th, Disturbed.
April 26th, Metallica. August 8th, Linkin Park. I got Linkin Park coming up at the end of August to end of August too. September 3rd, System of a Down. I don't even know if they're playing. Yeah, they're playing Chicago. System of a Down is playing Chicago, I think.
I'm going to cheat for Ken here. I'm going to like my own stream. Is that acceptable? Ken, is that acceptable if I like the stream just for you?
Is he trying his phone?
I think he's trying. Sorry, I like literally just went off though.
Nothing else. We reschedule him and give away a USA patch, and we all dance.
I think he's going to give her a shot.
Okay.
Here we go. We got 20, Ken. You're welcome.
Ken unliked us now. Hey, you're fired, Ken. Disturbed our assholes. I agree with that statement. Oh, there's some horrible news out of the week. Godsmack is all done. Damn.
I think the original lineup is done, right? They're still touring, just it's not the same.
Yeah, 2 of the guys apparently left, which
I mean, I'm heartbroken too because freaking Brent Hines left Mastodon, but like I'm not going to throw a hissy fit over it.
No.
We're trying to get Carl and everybody. Just bear with me. And they're not that good. Just put it that way. You know what I'm saying?
One trick pony.
Yes. Well, see, they had. To me, they're a lot like Five Finger Death Punch. A lot of their good songs anymore, they're just cover songs, man. It's unfortunate, but
Their first two albums were really good, but then everything else to me sounded exactly the same.
But like, I love the song, their cover song of 10,000 Fists in the Air. That was pretty goddamn good. I thought that was really good.
That's a cover?
Yeah.
By who?
I didn't. Phil Collins, man.
10,000? No, they did Land of Confusion by Phil Collins.
Well, 10,000 or 10,000
That's a Phil Collins song?
I believe so. I gotta Google it now.
I just can't picture Phil Collins singing that. I know they did because they did Land of Confusion, which was a Phil. Was that a Phil Collins or Genesis? Phil Collins.
Maybe I think I might have got that wrong. No. Yeah, no, sorry. Yes, Land of Confusion is the cover song. I thought 10,000 Fists in the Air was too. Right, I was wrong. I'm okay with being wrong. I just Let me see the link? You click the link. I hope.
Yeah, he might not be getting enough of a signal. 5 flavored fruit punch. Yes, I go with that as well.
I think 5 Finger Death Punch sucks. I'm just
Yes.
Shaq can roast me if they want. I think 5 Finger Death Punch is the worst thing that's happened in rock music since. Oh man, where do I start?
Man, there's been a lot of shit in rock.
I'm not a big Guns N' Roses guy either, so it's fucking
stop.
Axl Rose.
Stop. Oh my God. I don't even know you anymore.
Sorry, I'm just not. It's Axl. It's not me, it's Axl.
I saw Guns N' Roses 2 months after Appetite came out at a small club in Oshkosh, they were the headliner with Zodiac, Mind Warp, and Udo from Accept on his solo tour. Absolutely nobody knew who Guns N' Roses was. It was 2 months after Appetite came out. This was a small fucking 600-seat club.
All right. I'm all smiles, everybody. So the guy coming on this show, everybody, I have nothing but great things to say about Carl. Carl has been nothing but an amazing friend to me. And the last show I was doing, Pure Steel, I was happy to have Carl on 2 or 3 times. I had his brother Keith on. Wonderful family, wonderful human beings. Carl, oh man, he's one of one. Super awesome guy. I'm so excited to bring him into the show. So everybody, let's give a really warm welcome to Carl Johnson, everybody. Carl, my man, how you doing?
Hi, tell me you can see me and hear me, and that will make my night.
I hear you and see you perfectly.
How you doing, Carl?
Good to know. Yeah,
nice
okay. I had to charge my battery, so I'm just leaving it plugged in now. So I can't be too mobile, but you don't need me to be mobile.
No, I was just telling chat that you were supposed to be in the Conjuring movie, but the delay was
that's very true.
They couldn't get Brad Pitt to play the role for you that day. So I just told Chad all about that. They couldn't get Brad Pitt that day to be in the movie, so tough.
Well, I did want that tone of reality, and I thought Brad could pull it off for me.
Yes, sir. So this is my co-host Darren.
Actually,
up here.
Hi, Darren. It's Carl.
Nice to meet you, Carl. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Of course, it was touch and go because I had my annual H.P. Lovecraft tribute today, and as happens, that ran longer than I expected it to because people don't want to leave a good party. Nope. Are you familiar with H.P. Lovecraft?
Definitely.
Yeah, great author.
I figured you would.
I got really big into H.P. Lovecraft because they had Lovecraft Country on HBO as a series.
Oh yes, yeah.
And then the imagination with all that stuff, even with being included with the TV series, it was so much fun and just it's a great television series.
Mm-hmm. Based on, of course, Lovecraft's fiction, which is still very popular.
It is. All the older fiction is coming back around again and making a resurgence. Poe was making a big resurgence with some remakes of some of his old. They're making series and movies out of his novels again and stuff like that, and everything's coming back 360 again, and it's reintroducing the younger crowd to the classic.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing this H.P. Lovecraft tribute annually. I mean, I had to skip a couple of years during COVID, and I was living in New York for a while, but pretty consistently. And we started doing it. I did it solo at first, the first few years. And then my brother started performing with me, reading with me. And I started doing that on March 15th, Sunday, March 15th, 1987, which marked the 50th anniversary of H.P. Lovecraft's passing from this worldly plane. So that was the 50th anniversary of Lovecraft's death. And that's when we started doing the tribute service in the spring or late winter. And March 15th was the anniversary of his passing. And now it's been 88 years since he died. So always a special occasion, brings great people in. And we do readings from the fiction, the prose and poetry of H.P. Lovecraft. So we concentrated on Lovecraft's poetry this time, as well as some, like horrific stories like Shadow over Innsmouth. And we actually do live readings. I'm a founding member of the Poe and Lovecraft Society of Rhode Island. So we did this in Providence, Rhode Island, in Swan Point Cemetery, where H.P. Lovecraft is interred. And for some reason, the rain held off until after our tribute service, so that worked out. People still wanted to stick around and do stuff. So I'm glad to be with you. Oh, by the way, about Lovecraft again. It was during my initial research on H.P. Lovecraft when I began my serious Lovecraft studies. Because to promote the first tribute service, literary tribute, I wanted to write an article, publish that in a local paper. And while I was researching Lovecraft for this article, I discovered I'm actually related to H.P. Lovecraft. My twin brother Keith and I are second cousins to H.P. Lovecraft, which is pretty close.
That is.
Well,
That's close.
I like saying it, but it's okay. But he never called me, so I can't boast about it too much. He never gave me a call because he died in 1997. That has everything to do with it. But I'm quite gratified to at least be related to this man, this niche.
Oh yeah, that is
Literally.
It's a nice.
Share blood of the legend.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I do.
So Carl, since we first announced that you were going to be on, the most common thing I've heard from people is exactly what is demonology. So can you give the viewers a brief layman's description of what demonology and how it differs from other aspects of the paranormal investigations?
And of course, I am a layman. I'm not clergy or anything. Some people think you have to be, if not canonized, they figure you have to be ordained, an ordained minister to be a demonologist. I describe, a demonologist specializes in demonology, and my succinct definition of demonology is the systematized study of the lore and cultural traditions of wicked spirits. So really, it's a study. You don't have to have any saintly ways about you, or don't need any special powers to drive out demons. It's really a study. Now, there are two aspects, the way I see it and interpret this. Two aspects of demonology are applied demonology and academic demonology. We'll start with academic demonology. That's somebody who does a study on the lore of demons, of evil spirits. The way they're interpreted now, originally they were supposed to be, like the jinn, the genie. They could interfere in human affairs if called, but they weren't necessarily evil. They could be even spirit guides. And then in the Middle Ages, as we term them, around 900 AD, they became associated, not exactly, but around 900 AD, they became associated with wicked spirits, evil. And by the 1300s, they were the devil's minions. And all kinds of lore grew up about that. So someone who studies demonology, that's academic demonology. They don't necessarily intervene or go out on cases. Now, applied demonology is when somebody actually not just researches, but actually tries to intervene and help people who feel they have problems with demons. And they could go out, they could do that through the internet or whatever means of correspondence they have. They can actually go out on cases. I fit into that category. I've gone out in plenty of cases that have demonic leanings. Some people could argue that I'm not really a demonologist because I don't have a degree in it, because there really is no such thing. I don't have any clerical degree. I'm not, I specialize in this study, and it's through experience. But I'm not a deacon. I'm not clergy. My brother is clergy, though. He's a member of the deaconate. But he and I have very similar views. He's more fundamental than am I. I try to relate this to the propensities of the human mind, the human psyche, so that way it can be studied and replicated. And people can find out why are there demons in our lives? Why could that even exist? Well, I think it's psychologically based, really. It's like, in a sense, the fantasy becomes reality. I'm not saying it's made up. I'm just saying this belief in demons, it takes on its own reality because people do believe it. I tend to look for more, causes in the human mind that arise. Whereas my brother is more about like these are, fallen angels. They are perhaps originate from the Nephilim in, in the Old Testament Bible. So, but it's my brother and I, the contrast in our views, I think make it all the more interesting. But I'm a demonologist because I refer to myself as such. I didn't choose that moniker. Somebody applied it to me, and then I saw it in print. So I said, okay, well, I'll be the demonologist. You know, if somebody wanted to really make a case about it, I'd say, well, okay, then I'm not a demonologist. I'll be a demonologist again on Thursday. I'll wait for that, but I'll be one for as long as I need to be. But I'm generally referred to as a demonologist. Also, here's kind of a highbrow term. I'm also considered a cathonicist. A cathonicist is somebody who specializes in the research and study of the nether spirits, that used to be venerated as gods and upper spirits. But then when other religious beliefs dominated, took over, they became the nether spirits, the under spirits, the demons. And I'm talking about like old names like Hecate and Nergal, and the origins of Lucifer as a devil. So that's Catholicism, but nobody says Catholicism. Nobody can even agree on how to pronounce it. The American pronunciation is Thonicist. The British pronunciation is Cathonicist, and that's where Cthulhu in Lovecraft lore actually comes from. So it's but if I announce myself as a Cathonicist, nobody's going to invite me to any parties. They're not going to say, "Hey, we want you to speak here." You're a what? Cathonicist. Whereas if I'm known as a demonologist, that generates interest in what I do because people can relate to it more, they can understand it more. And really, a lot of our concept of what a demon is or demons are comes from a novel that was, let's see, what year was that? Was published in 1970. Well, it first hit the bookstores in 1971, and it was more widespread mainstream as a book in 1972. Then a movie with that title came out in 1973, or actually early 1974. So you can really say publication date was officially 1973, and the movie came out in 1974. That is The Exorcist.
William Peter Blatty.
And, by William Peter Blatty, and that so revived interest in what before was a medieval concept. It brought demons and demonology into the modern age. By the way, we all know who Ed and Lorraine Warren were. Very, very famous paranormal researchers. And I remember, because I was around for it, Ed and Lorraine were known as the ghost hunting couple, which certainly they were. And of course, they delved into the diabolic and researched that. But Ed became known as a demonologist when The Exorcist hit the theaters. That was when he officially became a demonologist, because then people knew what demonology was.
Okay.
And again, I'll repeat my definition. Demonology is the systematized study of the lore and cultural traditions of wicked spiriticism. Academic demonology and applied demonology. Well, how about if I let you talk now and you can ask some more questions? I'll try to.
You were rolling with it fantastic there. So,
Carl, you're the best.
Well, you press my button, you flick the switch. Now I'll talk and keep talking.
So what started this for you? I mean, can you pinpoint something? Was it something in your childhood, or was this something that you were fascinated by early on?
Childhood drama. Actually, there was a starting point, except in the sense that since I was 5 years old and started liking monster movies, I got to say it germinated then. I liked the spooky things, the strange. They seemed more mysterious and therefore more interesting. But I actually became, I guess, as a lifelong passion or interest. That would happen because my brother and I grew up in a haunted house. That doesn't mean things were happening every day. Most days were business as usual in my parents' house. This was in North Scituate, Rhode Island, kind of central West Rhode Island. And we had strange things happening in that house ever since I can remember. goes back to about 6 years old or so. I remember strange things happen. My younger sister, she was still in her high chair, and my mother went to get a drink of water. I can remember this, and she turned on the spigot in the kitchen and drew a glass of water. And as she was putting the water to her lips, all of a sudden my brother and I heard a slurping sound, and the glass was empty. My brother calls this story the thirsty ghost because the water just disappeared. It was actually a form of teleportation. The water disappeared out of the glass. That was so long ago. And at the time, you kind of go on with business. You forget about it. You know, my mother would say, that was the strangest thing that happened to me. And then a month later, Mom, did the thirsty ghost come back? Oh, I don't know. I think we imagined that. You know, it's like, no, Mom, don't ruin the story. But things like that would happen. Knocks on the walls that we could not understand. Footsteps going through the hallway in the center of the house. Just borderline supernatural things. But, you know, we always looked for a natural explanation. But things were pretty strange. Then objects started to disappear in the house, inexplicably. Now, I am great for misplacing and losing belongings, but this was something where I believe I was 11 years old. Yeah, 11. And there was a strange glove found in the hallway. And I asked my mother, because it was just a single glove. It looked like an antique glove. And I asked her, Mom, is this your glove or is this your mother's? She said, no, I've never seen that before. I said, Mom, you had to have seen it. It came from something. Well, I don't know where it came from. So I set it on the kitchen table, you know, going to look for a mate for it. The next time I looked for that glove, it vanished. It was gone. Strange, kind of eerie stuff with it, but a lot of it was happening. And by the time I was 14 years of age, I became interested in a very home popular game, the spirit board. Like by marketing, it was known as the Ouija board. That was the company. And my mother said she had one of those talking spirit boards when she was a girl, and she was her stepmother and she would play on it. And so my sister and I became fascinated with the Ouija board because as soon as we tried it, we got results. The planchette with our fingertips lightly resting on it would move around and answer our questions. And we got some consistency with those answers too. So we were fascinated with that. Now that may have further opened up a portal or a chasm. I don't know. But it was a few years later where I started. Well, we did get results. We got knocks on the wall when we asked questions. You know, like the spirit of the board identified herself as Sylvia. And I was very respectful of the spirit. I said, Sylvia, can you give us a sign that you're really here with us? And the planchette moving around the smooth board surface spelled out CELLAR, cellar. So my sister and I excused ourselves from the Ouija board and went to the top of the cellar stairs. So we waited there for about 20 minutes and said, oh, I guess nothing's going to happen. Now, in my parents' house, there was a wooden partition alongside the stairs going down to the cellar. And as we were getting up to walk away, all of a sudden we heard don't, 3 knocks on that wooden partition. We waited a few moments. My sister and I looked at each other. I think we got our answer. And we waited a few more minutes, heard the 3 knocks again. So success, we made contact. So my sister and I became more and more interested in the spirit communication. We took these to be genuine spirits that were somehow in the house, which was kind of incongruous because the house was actually younger than my brother and I. I believe my brother and I were 8 years old, 8 years of age when that house was completed. So we had a haunted house and strange things used to happen. Objects would be moved around. We'd hear, once we started using that Ouija board, it jumped into kind of high gear and we would hear noises down in that basement. We used that, my parents used it for storage. We'd hear chairs sliding around. The dehumidifier would move across the room. So spooky, but not intolerable. We weren't going to be driven out of our house. So things like that were happening. And it was some years later that I started to see the form of a woman down in that basement. I don't know who or what she was, but it looked like a woman walking across the floor. Now that was truly scary because she was so solid seated. I had moved my room, my bachelor pad, down to the basement when I was 15, or actually turning 16. When I turned 16, then I was moved down to the basement, which wasn't good for my respiration. And I started hearing the noises close up. I was downstairs, and oh, this is scary. And one night I'm down there. I was a little older, like, I believe 17, and I heard the noises again. I said, "This is scary tonight. I'm really hearing these noises. Objects are moving. I'm hearing thumps. It's like somebody's rearranging the storage down there." So I got out of the bed, and there was enough light in the room that I could see from street lights outside. I saw the form of a woman, what looked like a woman in old-fashioned clothing, like a taffeta dress, moving silently across the room. Now, at first I thought, we've got company, somebody's down here. But there was something very eerie, very scaring about this form I saw. What was scary about her is that she made no sound as she was walking across the floor, just totally silent. That was scary to me. So I fumbled for the light switch, and then she had walked into the curtain and disappeared. And that happened several times. I think I saw her 4 times altogether. Clearly saw her. So naturally, I'm very interested in the cause of these things. What is causing the form of a person? Why so many noises? Why are objects moved around? There has to be such things as ghosts, because otherwise we wouldn't be experiencing this. My brother did too. My brother didn't see that woman's form, but he was hearing a lot of voices when he was upstairs in what was our bedroom, then was his bedroom. He would hear children running around the side of the house and laughing. He knows that. He experienced it. He still remembers it vividly. So I think it was only natural that I would become interested in ghost hunting. Now, specifically demonology, the darker side, I believe that started when we were called in to investigate that house in Harrisville, Rhode Island. It became known as the Conjuring House by dint of the movie. And that had the family who owned that house, the Perrin family, they were very perturbed by that haunting. I just found it very interesting, fascinating. I wasn't scared of what was happening there, but of course I wasn't living there. Now that was my first residential case, what became known as it was the Perrin's farmhouse, and really Round Top Road farm, the Arnold Richardson estate, I think should be its official name from its history. And that was my first residential case. The next residential case that I was called into was a few years later, and that turned out to be a case of full-blown demonic possession. And that was in Providence, Rhode Island. So with the advent of that case, I garnered a reputation as someone who would address the darker cases. I would come to the really scary hauntings when called for. And I also had a reputation for standing my ground in scary situations. It's not that I couldn't be scared. I could be terrified, but I knew for that situation on Messer Street in the west end of Providence. And the subject was a 14-year-old boy who was undergoing what seemed to be fits of possession, demonic possession. I just wanted to get back to my parents' house. I knew there was food in the refrigerator. It was like a 20-minute drive away. I just wanted to get out of there when things got hairy. But I also knew if I left there, I might never be able to go into another haunted house again, especially not with what seemed to be a hostile haunting. I'm trying to position the camera right. That's why I'm juggling. And that was resolved successfully, to my surprise. I thought it would be ongoing and we wouldn't be able to do much, but that boy was actually helped through prayer, through intervention, through standing up to it and confronting it and counseling this young man. I don't have a psychological degree, but any degree in psychology, but I was able to talk to that boy and say, we're going to get to the bottom of this. You're going to be all right. But that was scary. That was menacing. I felt I was probably in some physical danger, because this was a wild card. And the 14-year-old boy was doing things that, an adolescent shouldn't be able to do, like climb up the walls, like preternatural strength, like make objects move across the room, and sometimes religious items would fly off the wall if there was a cross, a crucifix hanging on the wall, because they were a Roman Catholic family. Sometimes these objects would just be propelled off the wall. One of the spookiest things happened was there was a picture in the living room, and we were conducting an expulsion, which is not an exorcism. It's like an informal exorcism in a sense. So we were trying to cast whatever, not knowing who it or what it was infesting this boy. We were trying to cast it out, I and my brother and some other people involved. And I looked at a picture of Jesus because I was hoping the boy would be distracted. He would look at that. It would take his attention. Less than a minute later, I looked at the picture again, and it had turned itself upside down, or something had turned that picture of Jesus upside down. So it was hairy there. It was scary, and it was successfully resolved. We kept praying for this boy. He used holy water. I should also mention that this boy's godmother was Santorian. So that added a new dimension to that ordeal. The boy first started becoming possessed, or what we thought was possession, when he went into a cemetery not far from his house, and he found, here we go, the caveat again, he found a glove in the cemetery, not the glove that was my parents' house, of course. He found a glove. He picked it up. It looked to be could have been a man's or a woman's glove. He brought it home with him, and his godmother, the Santorian, she said, "Oh, you must put that back. Bring it back to the cemetery and leave it there." So you went to get it, and it had disappeared. I guess in the paranormal, gloves have a way of disappearing. This family was of Hispanic origin. He was born in New York City, but his parents and other family members were Dominican and Puerto Rican. So they had a background in belief in spirits, especially with the Santorian influence. But I was able to help out significantly in this. And it's when I realized I wouldn't be driven out by something strange happening. Oh, I can be as scared as anybody. I just know that if I run out, that's not going to inspire confidence in the people I'm trying to help. And I might not be able to return to another situation such as that. So that was, I couldn't tell the short version. That was my introduction to demonology. Then somebody brought a magazine article to my attention. It was about the Warrens, and I was mentioning it. They said, Carl Johnson, the demonologist from Rhode Island. I said, okay, that has a ring to it. That's what I'm doing. So by whatever name, I became fascinated with the study and have applied it.
So what is Santorian? Is that just like another form of Catholicism, or?
Actually, it has its roots in both Catholicism and Voodoo and African tribal beliefs. It has those sources. There were native people that were brought from Africa, from Central and mostly Western Africa. Sierra Leone was a big source of the slave trade. These people were brought over. Some were forced into labor as slaves. Some were just recruited and believed that they could have a better life over in the New World, which started in the island, Haiti. And that seems to be where Santorian had its gestation period. You can't bring people over from another land and totally extinguish their beliefs in how the universe works and how the world turns. So what happened was that Christianity, and especially Catholicism, was forced upon these enforced immigrants. So they created these people who were brought over here to serve and to labor. They created an amalgamation of the African beliefs, the island beliefs, and Christianity. That's why Santeria means the way of the saints, because it seems like magic, but they incorporated saints, Catholic saints. But their own unique rituals evolved, where they would call upon these saints almost like conjurations, very much like conjurations, in fact, and constrain them to do their will or help with healings. So it became its own force, its own belief, the island belief, and that was Santeria. It does have voodoo influences too. And that's how voodoo originated. It was actually African traditions, other sources too, but primarily African traditions. And that became voodoo. And it is a very potent force, is voodoo, because it's so fervently believed in by the practitioners. There had to be a reality to it. So this woman who was the godmother to, well, Lucas, his name was, the 14-year-old boy, she was an influence on him too. So I think that planted a seed in him. He was also, being 14 years of age, he was going through his own adolescent establishing himself and his identity crisis. So it was real, but I think it originated in his mind, even though he was able to do the impossible. The first thing I saw this boy do, I was invited to stay overnight, and his bedroom was on the 3rd floor, and I sat out on a couch there to observe him. And I was just starting to doze off. It was about 1 a.m. And when I stayed overnight at this house on the west end of Providence, I was awoken by really a shrill, blood-curdling scream. It was unearthly. You'd think this boy was being like murdered. I heard the scream. I jumped off the couch where I was reclining, fumbled for the wall switch, the light switch for an overhead light. As I turned on the light, the boy's bedroom door opened on its own, was flung open, and his body was propelled out and spinning. It was like breakdancing in fast motion, but like possibly fast for a person. And that he wasn't dancing. His body was spinning like a top, and he was bouncing, careening off the walls. He grabbed onto the walls, and even though there was no friction to the walls, he could do that kind of Spider-Man crawl up the wall. And then he did a backward flip. His parents, his family, and his sister, they were alerted by the screaming. I'm standing there transfixed because I've never seen anything like that. And he did a backwards flip, landed on the couch where I had been laying, and jumped up and down, flapping his hands, and this guttural laugh came out of his mouth, like from his throat. Like, and then the boy looked at me with this ferocity in his eyes, jumped on me. Now, I was my normal 200 pounds then, so I pulled him down to the ground, to the floor, and I tried to pin his arms. He pushed me right off. Then he soon came, I'm fearing for my own safety, but acting like, calm and controlled. And then he came to his senses, but he was terrified. He returned to his own personality, started calling for his uncle. So whatever the cause, whatever the exact origin, this was very real at the time. And as I thought about it in retrospect, I applied more psychological reasons to it, but I can't discount that religious objects were floating around the room and being thrown. I should say they were being propelled through the air, that a crucifix came off the wall, that there were like reverberations, not just banging on the walls, but the walls were shaking when this would overtake him. So we arranged kind of a ceremony, if you will. To me, it was just driving out the spirit. And it was successful. He seemed to be cured from that. And I asked him, I knew the family for a while. I asked him 2.5 years later, I said, you remember what happened to you back then, a few years ago? He said, well, I remember a little bit about it, but not much. He wasn't fazed by it because he was better. He said, I don't remember it all. I remember some of it. It doesn't bother me now. So I could consider that a success. That was my formal introduction to demonology.
You answered.
You
answered
questions for me?
You answered like 2 or 3 of the questions
good.
that I was
I'm
going to
glad.
answer. In that one,
I'm glad I covered it because usually each answer is about 10 to 15 minutes, and I don't want to leave out the cogent parts of my story. But
So
that's basically it.
We have a question. We have a question from one of the people in the audience. Shadow Seekers Paranormal Carl, can I have I'll have to get a hold of you to be on my podcast. So your name is
I
getting
hope
out there
so.
with
Thank
us.
you.
And,
Yes, I like to take questions. It makes it easier on me,
yeah.
usually.
Yeah. Anybody has questions, just shoot them out.
I'm somewhat familiar with shadow seekers. I haven't met the folks, but I think I might have met somebody at the Paragon though 2 years ago. Shadow seekers, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're based out of southern Wisconsin, northern
Yeah.
Illinois area.
Yes.
They're good people. They're having a. If you're interested in traveling, Carl, they're having a big concert and stuff like that coming up. If you're interested, yeah, Paracon up there coming up this summer.
Oh, send me the
Broadhead
information, please. I'd be interested.
Yeah.
See what I can manage there. Sure.
I got
Hey, I
another
made it
question
onto your
here.
podcast. I should be able to get to Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another question for you
Yeah.
from firefighter MDO. What is the scariest thing you've ever seen?
That was, I can answer that right away. Well, I should say that demonic case I just described at length, but that was so long ago. That was 1980. But there was life in 1980. I think the scariest one was something that happened nearly 20 years after that. It's like 17 years after that. Was a poltergeist case. I don't know if anybody in our audience or you folks have ever dealt with a poltergeist. If you ever have an opportunity to confront or examine what we call a poltergeist, it's a German contracted word for noisy ghost or noisy spirit, rattling ghost, polter, banging, poltergeist, ghost. If you ever have a chance to observe in action, I would highly recommend it because there's nothing else like it. And it defies all the descriptions of ghosts. Does it come from the human mind? Is it a deceased person? Is an adolescent generating it? Kind of like yes and no to all those questions. It behaves like a spirit, but it is thought to proceed from the human psyche, the murky recesses of our minds. But poltergeists are very potent spirits. They can do remarkable things. Poltergeists, we think of them as like they move dishes around and shove boxes around the room. But poltergeists can also have voices. Poltergeists can appear. Poltergeists can create figures out of sheets and materials in the house and create mannequins. It shows that there's much more than the human mind than clinical definition. Are they deceased people? No, I don't think so. They are something that proceeds from us, but it creates the ghostly activity. And I was involved in a poltergeist case that took place in Coventry, Rhode Island. And let me see, when was this? This was 2007 into 2008, mostly 2007. Now, as you know, being paranormal investigators, often when you get the call to investigate a source, a house, whatever, some dwelling that has paranormal activity repeatedly, what you hear from the people who have called you in, the clients, if you will, usually say, oh, all things were happening before you guys arrived. Now it's kind of quiet. Or after you left last time, all hell broke loose. My crucifix was pulled off my neck, the chair moved, but you rarely get to observe it firsthand. This was a rare case where the activity was happening right while we were there and there was no mistaking it. One thing that happened was, I guess it took an interest in me, this force, because the chair I was sitting in, just talking about the situation, the case, it moved back across to the wall, to the rear wall, with me in it. It happened so quickly, I hardly noticed until, like, wait, my chair is moving and nobody's pulling it. Objects, a dinner knife, crockery, things were flying around the house. You'd hear a smash and you'd know it was something in the next room that nobody else could have thrown and broken. But we saw these things moving. I saw a kitchen knife sailed through the air, but it wasn't spinning. It came at me. It didn't hit my hand, but it hit the thermal gauge that I was holding, the instrument I was holding in my hand. It seemed to take a special interest in me. I don't know if I threatened it or what, or it was just my energy I was putting out. But that was truly fascinating, and it was scaring. You asked about what's the scariest thing. I would say it was that case, because when you heard a crash, and you'd never know when you'd hear it, so you, there it goes again. Something is acting like it's alive. Something is in this house with us, and I don't want to be around to see it throw something else. I never felt in physical danger, but that element of shock and surprise was there. It would beat up on the lady of the house, Tina. Her name was Tina and Tony. Now, why them? Why did the poltergeist suddenly show up? The house was only 22 years old, built 22 years before, and they'd only been living in it for a couple of years, and it was torturing Tina, the lady of the house, the homeowner, and her husband. She didn't know how to deal with it. She wanted out of the house, but where was she going to go? Is it going to follow her? Now, why would this happen? In demonology, you always look for something that set it off. Now, there are times where someone will just move into a haunted house, but if it's a malevolent or a really strong haunting, something happened. Something changed the railroad tracks direction, figuratively speaking. There's always, if it's a demonic case especially, there's always an element of unresolved trauma, of conflict, conflict in someone's past. And, well, in this case, it was mostly centered around the lady of the house, whom I mentioned, Tina. I'll give you a little background on Tina. Tina was from the Azores, Portuguese islands, possessions. And Tina and her sister they owned 10 spirit boards. We usually call them Ouija boards. They had 10 of these boards between them. 3 of them they burned, never a good idea because it angers spirits. 7 of them they lost. Don't know what happened to them. When Tina was doubted about the paranormal activity in her house, sometimes she would call on the spirit. Oh yeah, watch this, watch what happens. And she would challenge the spirit to do something, to prove it to people. Not a good idea. Tina and Tony had 7 children, of course, all different ages. You've got adolescents, children in their late teens. You've got toddlers. You got an all array of ages. Now that's a psychic battery. And you've got Tina and Tony would quarrel a lot. They were very jealous of each other. They would fight, and then they'd have makeup intimacy. So you've got a cauldron of influences there. And I'm trying to help these people. They weren't great at taking advice either. But what a fascinating case it was. And I became very friendly with Tina and Tony. Very interesting case. I've never been in a situation quite so consistent where you can be sitting talking in the kitchen and you can almost bank on something happening. One of the oddest things was we were in the master bedroom, site of activity in more ways than one. And we were discussing the case, the team. I was called in by Four Seasons Paranormal in my capacity as a demonologist. And as we were talking, a piece of crockery, as a sugar bowl, appeared over my head and smashed to the floor very loudly. I like to remain calm in such situations. It instills confidence in my associates. So we had the Tina and another lady in the room go, oh! So I bent down and started picking up the shards of broken crockery. Now and there was another lady there, one of our investigators, and she's saying, oh my God, Nancy Leathers, that's who it was. Nancy says, oh my God, it came out of the wall. It appeared over his head. It came out of the wall. Did you see that? Now, I picked up these shards of broken crockery And I said, it was like porcelain. I said, Tina, this broken crockery, it's warm and kind of damp. But what does that tell you? I really didn't know. And she said, oh my God, that came out of my dishwasher. Dishwasher was 3 rooms away. And I looked, there were no children that could have done this. And it appeared over my head anyway. And that was the same room with a kitchen knife sailed down the hall. I just happened to glance at the hallway and it hit the thermograph I was holding. So many things like this happening. And I also remember being at the sitting at the big oak kitchen table, conferring with Tina and Tony. And I happened to glance to my left, and I think I caught this. It didn't want to be caught. I saw a man glowering at me, like a real intense expression. He didn't necessarily look malevolent. He looked normal, like a human, except that he was only a head. My first impression was I saw him for a moment. Somebody's in here and he's wearing a black turtleneck. I didn't have a chance to intellectually analyze it. And then he was gone, but he was staring right at me. Now, the spirits that manifested, although I think they were manifestations of poltergeist, the spirits that manifested in that house were a male and a female. Now, people, when I've told this story, this account, they've asked me, well, what was this? Was this a demonic haunt? Was it a human intelligent reactive? Was it a poltergeist? And I say, yep, all of the above. I had criteria for all of these things, but I categorize it really as a poltergeist. And one of the most remarkable things out of this already remarkable situation was that I was kind of co-directing this situation, and the Dawn, who was running Four Seasons Paranormal, her and Nancy Leathers, Dawn asked me, well, we did an overnight, meaning till around 3:30 in the morning. And she asked me, well, what should we do next? Because we had a recorder going, a cassette recording, recording in the middle of the dining room table. And we'd moved from the kitchen to the dining room. And I said, ask the spirit if he misses Tina. So Dawn said, do you like Tina? Do you want Tina home? So they'd have gone over to relatives' house for those hours. So later, when I stayed up until about sunrise listening to this recording, and I was just ready to say, I don't hear anything unusual. Well, then I hear Dawn. I said, oh, this could be interesting. I hear Dawn say, do you like Tina? Do you want Tina home? And a voice, sibilant, like a harsh whisper. I said, oh, got something. So I played it back, listened to it up close to my ear, turned the volume up. And what happens is, do you want Tina home? A man's voice or a male voice in tone. Oh, yeah, I'd like to boil Tina. Who says that? No. Oh, yeah, I'd like to boil Tina. The jackpot. And another voice that came out is one of our team, Laura. She was cleaning. She would keep exotic birds, and she was cleaning the bird cage. There were 2 lovebirds in that bird cage, and Tina wasn't keeping them very neat. So our investigator is cleaning the cage, and she was something of a ghost magnet herself. So the investigator's cleaning the cage, and she says to the 2 birds, "How you doing, babies?" All right, I hear her voice say, "How you doing, babies?" And then a woman's voice comes through and says, "Dying." In less than 2 weeks, both of those birds had died of some avian disease. And this disembodied voice said, "Dying," and the birds died. So imagine our delight when we played this recording to the homeowner, Tina. I said, now, Tina, our purpose here is to find out what's going on and give it an evaluation. We have a recording. Are you ready for this? We're going to put it on your laptop. Well, we had a laptop. We're going to put it on the laptop. Are you ready for this? She said, oh, okay. And then she hears the voice say, do you want Tina home? Dawn asked, do you want Tina home? And then she asked again, oh, yeah, I'd like to boil Tina. And then the recording of like with the birds. So Tina said, "Oh my God, oh my God, this was beyond interest. This was fascinating, but it was getting to me. It was unnerving me. It was scary to be in the house. Even the lighting in the house, there was something strange about it. But that case was never resolved. It wasn't like other situations. We never got to the bottom of it. The clients wouldn't really take our advice, and it just became something fascinating to note. But that was my poltergeist case. It was wearing on me. I was scared to go over there some nights, but this thing would go wild and start attacking. And Tony, the husband, he had some paranormal experiences in his background too, and he was in a paramilitary group in Guatemala, where he came from. So he calls me about close to 2:30 in the morning. I'm at the house in my mom's house. I was helping my mom out, and Warwick. He calls me up. Listen, man, you got to come over here. You got to come over now. It's acting up. It's doing things. And I heard smashing and banging, and I hear Tina go, "Ow!" She was hit in the face by something. And I said, "Well, Tony, it's going to take me a half an hour to get over there. I got to get dressed." And he said, "Well, man, we got to get out of here now." So they took the kids with them. They went over to Tina's sister's house. So I heard that going on. That was real. They had nothing to gain by pretending. This was real. But again, they weren't so hot on taking advice. That was my scariest situation. And again, it takes 15 minutes to tell each of these stories, sometimes longer. So can't leave out the important parts. That was the scary thing for me. I can kind of feel nervous thinking about it now.
Yeah, we got two other really good questions here for you. I'm gonna throw another one at you.
Okay. How long do we have? About an hour?
How long can you go, Darren?
Yeah, I mean, we've been on for 2 hours now, so maybe we should get through these two
All
questions.
right, I'll try to. Listen, I'll be succinct. Like I said, you put a quarter in. You get this.
I'm fine. I'm in no hurry, but
yeah. I got to get going in a while too. I got some phone calls to return. But yeah, please ask your questions. We have time for that.
Yeah. So Shadow Seekers Paranormal asks, what's your thoughts on all these YouTubers claiming that there's demons in all these locations?
That's interpretive. Demons are an interpretation of a spirit. That has been inculcated into our societies for about 1,500 years now, since people started believing. Well, evil spirits have always been believed in. We are a race, a species of contrast, of division, duality. Look what we have. We evolved with night and day. We have dark and light. Now to reverse it, we have angels and demons. We have life and death. We have cold and warm. We have a lot of contrast, a lot of opposites and duality in our lives. So I think it's natural that a belief in wicked spirits, evil spirits, would evolve, would develop. And they've been categorized as demons or by whatever name for a long time. And it is natural when you confront the unknown, perhaps the unknowable. All right, it's got to be sinister. How come we don't know about it? It's doing strange things. It's casting shadows, or it moves in shadow forms. Now, we can't clinically or objectively analyze these forces. We really end up with zero for explanation. So if we call them demons, then that gives an explanation right there. Okay, now at least we've categorized it. And of course, I'm not saying that this is made up or it's falderall. Well, sometimes it is. But we need to apply some definition, something we understand. If it's unknown, if it's moving a children's bed, if it's banging on walls, if it's shadowy, like shadow persons, yeah, that's unsettling. That's scary. I think it's jumping the gun to always call them demons, but we really don't know what else to say. I would not adjudicate something as a demonic haunt unless I had some direct criteria for it. Now, let's say effectively.
I think what he's relating to is like, I'm not going to name drop other shows, but there's a set of brothers that do a show, and it's every single thumbnail they have. It's this red-eyed demon scared us out of the building for the night, or a blue-eyed demon scared us out of the building for the night. It's just like it's
I won't name
something.
drop either, but I know exactly. I was watching that a few months ago. I know it's exactly what show you mean. It's an interpretation, and they always perform a blessing, a Christian blessing at the end of the show, which might help and certainly doesn't hurt, but it's not getting to the answer. It's predetermining something. It's naming it as demonic force. So therefore it becomes the demon because it's going to react like that. Now, I was also involved with a case that had a red-eyed demon. It seems to be like a species, a red-eyed spirit, let's say. But that is interpreting it. That's creating the demon. And naturally, it's going to seem, because you're looking for all these things that make the demon, that describe a demon, so it's got to be a demon. You know, if it's walks like a duck and quacks like a duck and flies like a duck, then it's got to be a duck. But in paranormal realm, you don't know. They are forces. I think they proceed basically from the human mind and are remnants of persons who lived before. And they are lost if they have a consciousness about them, or quasi-conscious. They're lost. They're resentful. They're desperate to be recognized. Like, I'm here. I'm still here. It's very easy to label that as a demonic force. And especially when you've got eerie background music playing during the show, that makes for a convincing demonic situation. I would rather say I don't know what it is and try to assess it and deal with it that way than say it's a demon. Then you got the category of a shadow person or shadow people. That's another thing, like poltergeist throws our explanations out the window. They're dark, they're actually the absence of light, and they can seem demonic while not really being demonic. Demon, again, is an interpretation. It gives us an answer. And I would like to sit down with these folks and they not debate, but try to get to the bottom. How much do you know about it? Why do you call it a demon? What's the criteria? Now, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed Warren had a way of determining a demon. If there's a foul smell, if there are shadows, if you hear banging on the wall, you hear deep voices, disembodied voices, that's demonic. Well, what else are you going to call it?
But that was also like investigative knowledge too. Ed Warren, he was in there as an investigator, not as a social media presence. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of it has to do with like clickbait. You know what I mean? Like going through, just you can advertise a scary night. Why not advertise a scary night with a possible demon? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I guess like one show that you were on for sure that I've seen you on was Overnight. They used to do that a lot. They used to do a lot of demonic. And you met Matt Rife that one, the comedian Matt Rife.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. Yeah,
they stopped doing that. They still like advertise it, but I think that those guys are starting to get more educated on what they're going into and investigating, other than being more of a personality on the internet. So that's one thing I will give those guys a lot of credit.
I do. If they've evolved, not that they were doing everything wrong, but if they move on and kind of are willing to adjust their interpretations, that's a sign of progress.
Yeah.
But you can so create a demon if you've got something mysterious and it's not convenient, it's disturbing the homeowners, and you call it a demon, it's going to start acting like one. It's like a form of symbiosis. It's going to take on those characteristics. And that's why I think part of why Ed Warren, for instance, was so successful as a demonologist. He could produce the demon. He could bring it about because if you point out it's done this, is that, it's left scratches on somebody, it starts really behaving like a demonic force. And in a sense, you've molded it into that. Obviously, I'm more willing to explore other alternative explanations.
So rolling off that question, we have another question too.
I'll try to be shorter.
How has technological evolution evolved demonology throughout your career, and have negative outcomes increased?
It has both negative and more positive aspects because we're far better to document the evidence. We have more sophisticated recording and detecting equipments to measure temperature changes and record voices. However, more has been thrown into the mixture because we have equipment it has lexicons, it has words it can produce. and those are taken as genuine messages from the spirit realm. They're a tool, yes, but we have to be discriminating with that, because like the obelisk, the echo box, it'll call out, hello, 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 no. It's
Yeah,
going
the
to say something.
SP7 is another big one I see a lot. The SP7
Yes,
spirit box.
SP7 it's very well advertised. That these aren't useless. They're good stuff, but you have to really be discriminating, because they're going to say something. And it's so easy to interpret that. That's what was happening at the house, the Arnold Richardson homestead, the house in Harrisville, Rhode Island. They brought in this kind of equipment, and they would hear something like, or even a spirit box. They'd hear, did you hear that? That said my voice. I hear it said, just said my voice. It said, get out. Whereas I just heard, it's very easy to interpret. Now, somebody who's made advances with that is Jay Prather. He's controversial. A lot of people think he's like full of malarkey. A lot of people see value in what he's doing. But the fact is, he is making progress. He is exploring in as far as we can have a scientific way. I think he's doing good, Jay Prather. He's one example. But you get a bunch of sophisticated equipment in there. It's going to say something. It's going to emit some noise. And how can you not interpret that? Like one person will hear something, another person will hear something else. But not that they don't come through with messages sometimes. I was on a case outside in Barra Hack Settlement in Pomfret, Connecticut, and that's known as the Village of Voices. And you do hear voices. It's illegal to go on the property, so I haven't heard those voices in a while. But we were out. It was a full moon, November 2010. I was in between filming investigations, and I was out there with Oracle Paranormal Society and good colleagues of mine. And
Wasn't
Greg
Oracle
Best, the founder, he said,
wasn't Oracle where didn't Steve Gonzalez come out of Oracle?
No, he didn't come out of Oracle, but he knew of them, Steve Gonzalez.
Okay.
I don't think he had any traffic with them. He was in Cambridge and Boston area.
Okay.
I saw Steve 2 weeks ago at a personal appearance. It's so nice to be reunited with him. He's a gallant gentleman. He's good. But I don't always agree with his methodology, but I don't always agree with my own methodology. So we were out at this Barra. It's a full moon, and it's a spooky night. And Greg Best, he said, well, I don't know what to say. We've got an obelisk going. No, actually, we had a spirit box. Uses radio stations like a scanner, but faster. And he says, what should I ask it? I said, well, ask if it knows any of our investigators. Now, this was convincing to me. I usually don't have much faith in these things, but I said, ask if it knows any of us. I said, do you know any of our investigators? It went to two stations, two AM stations. Click, and it went, and what it spelled out, it sounded like a jingle. It went, yes, Carl Johnson. And I was thrilled with that. It's like, this is so goofball, but it's real. Yes, Carl Johnson. Okay, I like this. I like this one. It mentioned me, and I'm flattered. So I don't know the cause, but that really seemed genuine. And I could so many stories. I don't want to take up too much time. That happened to me. I worked at historic Slater Mill site for 14 years, and for 12 of those years, we had a program called the Ghost Tours. That would be our evening tours, and I started that program. Slater Mill kept it. They didn't like all my ideas, but they kept that one because that was a kind of a cash cow, and it was fascinating. 3 old buildings on the campus: Slater Mill proper, the American Industrial Revolution, built in 1793, Sylvanus Brown House, built in 1758, and the Wilkinson Mill, a stone mill, that was built in 1810 to 1811, completed in 1811. They all had the unique spirits. Slater Mill had a little boy spirit. It seemed to be the man. His name was Jacob. The Sylvanus Brown House, all part of the American Industrial Revolution setting, its origins. Sylvanus Brown House, built in 1758. They had a little girl spirit named Becca. The Wilkinson Mill, an imposing stone structure, had one of the first really modernized machine shops in America. That had a shadow spirit, a shadow person in it. Very consistent. I forget why I was telling. Oh yes, we were in the Sylvanus Brown house, the 1758 house, one night, and one of the guy who wanted to do the investigation, and I was overseeing. He turned on his spirit. He loved his spirit box. Turned on the spirit box, and it's going. Pop, 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 pop. But as soon as he turned it on, actually, the spirit box started the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I said, well, that's kind of odd that it would have that in a haunted house. Now, I realized later it was Good Friday, so that wasn't too much of a coincidence. But what was strange is that I put this on a clapboard that used to be used to educate children, to teach them their prayers, teach them to read and write, and it had different lessons on each clapboard. Well, I hadn't noticed at the time, but I put the spirit box down on what was printed on the other side was the Lord's Prayer. I put it on that paddle, and it started immediately went to the Lord's Prayer as soon as I turned it on. And that I thought that was rather odd that it was saying the Lord's Prayer and it's put on that. And I hadn't noticed it at first. Ask me stories, I got a million of them, but they're true. Well, I hope I've answered some questions. I could say more, so I hope you'll have me
Done a
back on.
fantastic.
No, you're good. Have you been to Round Top Farm recently, or?
Yes, not too long ago, not ancient history. I was last there in November of 2024, and I was there on June 3rd, 2024. I believe I was there. Yeah, I was there 3 times in 2024. Some group that I'm acquainted with, they're from New York State. She wanted to do a settling. She believed she was of Native American persuasions, and she believed there was a Wendigo, a very powerful spirit, governing that house. But she wanted to pacify this Wendigo spirit, and she brought me in a shamanistic capacity. So I was there 3 times last year. I used to be there more often, but
then a bunch of drama broke out over there, huh?
yeah, what a fiscally rewarding place that was. That was a very lucrative business until it was mismanaged into the ground.
Yeah.
The owner seems to have had
my first time ever talking to you. Yeah, my first time ever talking to you is when the property switched hands to her, and just kind of turned sideways.
Yeah, she got quite bizarre. The current owner of the house. Now she still, when she posts, she's not posting as frequently as she used to, but she put some bizarre messages, usually on Facebook, till they banned her.
She attacked a good friend of yours pretty heavily there with Jason Hawes. She went right after him.
Oh yeah, he was. I think at first Jason found it amusing, until she started
watching his videos. Yeah.
Yeah, this woman throws out threats to people. She's threatening his daughter. She's threatening him. She's blaming him for things when he wasn't anywhere near the site. So, but he was able to reveal her as well. Actually, Jason didn't do it. She revealed herself as a kook, and she's gone off the deep end. And there's no way to say it without sounding unkind. But I will say she's unsettled. She's unbalanced to believe these things and post these things and alienate everybody and accuse her manager. We wonder why the manager, if he was so disgruntled when he was fired, why does he keep the picture of the Conjuring house on his Facebook page and his website? But she accused her manager of stealing from the gift shop. Even though there were cameras throughout the house, and he certainly would have been shown on the camera stealing money out of the cash box if he had done that. But she had something else to blame him for. She had something better than videotape and surveillance cameras. She had spectral evidence. You remember the Salem, not that you were there for it, but remember the Salem witch trials of 1692. 19 people, well, 18 people,
Darren
18
might have been there for that. I don't think I was.
Darren Stevens was, yeah. But Darren might have been, yeah. But 18 women were sent to their deaths. I believe it was 18 or was it 20? Yeah, 19 women were hanged. One, Giles Corey, the man, he was the 20th, he was pressed to death to try and get a confession out of him. He refused to confess. He might have molded away in a prison or been hanged, but the fact is he was pressed to death because they were trying to get his property, the constabulary and the clerics, and so they pressed him to death, which was an English tradition. And they were the victims of the witch trials and the hysteria were condemned on the basis of spectral evidence. You didn't need to see it. The children of the court were going crazy and pointing to the figures you couldn't see, the devils in the room. That is spectral evidence, not predicated on anything that can be proven or substantiated. But they said that the kids saw the devils. It had to be, it had to be the witches in the court, and innocent people were sent to their deaths. Now, nobody that worked at the Conjuring House were sent to their deaths, but they were fired and never got their back pay based solely on spectral evidence, because the owner of the house, Jackie, I'll say, she fired her manager and withheld his pay, and she never had benefits. They shouldn't have been foolish enough to endure that and settle for that. But because John Arnold told her that Brian, her manager, was stealing from the till, taking from the cash box, that he stole $2,000 from the cash box. Excuse me. John Arnold died in 1841. But she's swearing that she had a bizarre behavior. She had obviously in a mental and emotional breakdown. And I'm not reviling her and I'm not laughing at her. I'm just totally mystified as to what happened, what went wrong with her. And she made it tough on herself because she took it out of humor and made it a set of serious accusations and threats. She threatened Jason. She said he's going to be arrested. She said Jason was trying to kill. I hope you don't mind me mentioning the names.
No, I don't. It's not just us.
It's out there.
There's a lot of public history out there right now.
Right, it's public record. She said he was trying to assassinate, that he was a trained assassin, and she knew where he had trained to be an assassin. He was coming out to her property. It turned out it was invited guest, the truck that was in the yard. I mean, what she was putting people through, his daughter, is just got really bizarre. She had and has a vendetta against anybody who worked there, with one exception. She has somebody that oversees for her. But yeah, she just got so bad. I mean, she took something that was raking in $2,000 to $3,000 a night, and sometimes could exceed that. Sometimes it would be double that. Very lucrative business, a house with quite the reputation, and she ran it into the ground with her excesses and her absurdities. And again, it sounds like vitriol. It sounds like I'm venting. No, I'm just saying what I hear and what I read and saw her postings. And I knew her, and I just don't know what went wrong.
Yeah.
Some people say the house drove her crazy. I don't think so. I don't know what happened.
But yeah, I think I guess we'll try to get a future date with you, get more time with you, Carl. We had a really good time with you tonight, and
you cut me loose already, man. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get you back. We'll get you back to
our please do.
Show here. And, it's good seeing you again, Carl. Having you on is always a blessing. You're such a great, kind guy, and I do look up to you.
Thank you.
And hopefully,
I admire you too. I appreciate you, and you give me an opportunity to uncork my stories.
Well, you have so much knowledge in the field of the paranormal, and it's just you're such an easy guy to talk to. It's fun. Yeah. Talking to you is just flat out fun.
I hope I don't talk over my host, but I don't want to leave out too many details. They got, as I remember them and have chronicled them.
Yeah, but I'll have Chris get a hold of you from Shadow Seekers, and maybe I can.
Oh please, I'd love to see those guys. I got to, yeah.
And then
I like their approach.
Other than that, we'll let you loose for tonight, and then we'll be in touch for something maybe this summer. We can get together and do a show, and
Thank you, Carl.
Oh, we have been on for a while. I just looked at the clock. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having me on. I so appreciate it, Luke.
And that was Carl Johnson, everybody. One of a kind. Like I said before, he is one of the kindest, funnest human beings I've ever talked to. He's so full of knowledge, and Obviously being a fan of ghost hunters growing up and seeing his connection with, guys who I also admire, Jason Hawes, Grant Wilson, Steve Gonzalez, Brian Heranos, Barry, who wasn't on the original Ghost Hunter show, but like he introduced me to the Ghost Hunter International, Barry Fitzgerald, Dustin Perry, who we're gonna sit in a seminar with this summer at the Paranormal Rockdown, and yeah, just awesome crew of people. I do admire him. But thank you guys very much for tuning in tonight.
Run the contest.
Yeah.
Run the contest.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about the contest. Who thinks they're going to win?
Is anybody left in here?
We have 16 people in here watching yet.
Do we still?
Yeah, we do. People are here hanging out with people. Love Carl, man.
I can't see the total on my screen, so I don't know.
All right, the giveaway. We have 20 entries. And here we go. I'm going to hit it right now. Jason won it. That boy, Jason. Jason, you still in here? We'll have to.
I don't see him anymore. I don't think. Jason, you still in here? Okay.
I'll just have somebody tag Jason in the.
Yeah, we'll get a hold of him. We will get a hold of Jason. All right.
All righty,
Well,
and as requested by Ken, if we get the 20 likes, I always play the song at the end, everybody. So this one is for Ken, and before we start the song, chat, I want to see some flames. Throw some flames up for the song. The song is epic, and the flames are cool. It makes you feel like I'm at a concert. So Ken gets his song. Jason's the winner. We had an amazing evening with Carl Johnson, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in, hanging out.
Does anybody know what Jason's Discord name is?
Chat, it's on you, chat.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get some flames up and rolling. We'll get us out of here, get our ugly mugs out of here. And I gotta stop the screen share. There we go. My screen like pops in like really weird, and I had to share the screen. That's like free find the buttons. Yeah, we'll get some more flames up in here. I'll get her going. Thank you guys all for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Sounds good. Take care, gentlemen.